Hello everyone and welcome to a new Vim episode. And today I want to talk about the folder structure that you can adopt to build your config. So basically Vim has a pretty good, as far as I can tell, folder structure that you can that you can follow, and it will basically split your config into multiple files and let you build a powerful config splitting over multiple files. So what I want to show you first, it's one of my first versions of my init.vim. Init.vim basically it's the file that your Vim will be aware of and will be bootstrap your every time that you open your Vim. It will just start this file and it will hold all of your config. This is not the first version of init.vim that I made. The first version of init that I made was a big file with all of my configs and comments there to explain what each category was doing. This one, might be the second or the third version of it. And what is wrong with this one? So basically it has the one comment that explains what the file is, and then it starts with something that it's already wrong, which is a setting mixed with plugins. So this is settings. It's a setting that I'm telling that the plugin and indentation will be on each file type. And then I have the plug, which is a software to install plugins after it. And we haven't talked about plugins yet. I will make a video, another video explaining how to install plugins, and perhaps I'll also explaining what are the best plugins, or at least the plugins that I find useful and why I use them. So here it is, the plug manager that I'm using, and then I have source. What does this do? This source basically just starts or loads another file after the plug, and it loads each time that that the editor starts up. Nothing wrong with this. You can go with this, but as I said before, Vim has a really complex folder structure that make it easy this concept of sourcing files. To show that, I have a really good blog post that I will link in the description of this video. You can read it, but I go through each one of the folder. So in this case, there is another thing that you should be aware of. So basically, Neovim and Vim has different config folders, and even in each operating system, you have different places where the configs are exposed. I will in the description of the video I will tell in each operating system and in each version of Vim, rather Vim or Neovim, I will tell the specific location of the config folder. For now, let's stick with this convention. So the colors folder inside of the Vim folder where your init.vim is placed, you have a colors folder. This one is for you to create color schemes. It's really powerful if you want to build a color scheme, or in other words, a color theme. You can use this folder. There are some good posts or some good articles that explain how to build a color scheme, But basically in Neovim you can perform a better syntax aligned color scheme than Vim, because they have tree-setter, which is a color parser, a syntax parser. But more of that in a separate video maybe. Then you have plugin, and this one will be exactly the same than sourcing like this. It will be exactly the same. Let's read what it says. So plugin files inside this directory will each be run once every time Vim starts. These files are meant to contain code that you always want to load whenever you start Vim. Okay, so you can create files, something.vim in this directory, and each time that your Vim starts, it will load this directory. What I usually put on this directory are files with keymaps and configs. Are files that I always want to load every time that Vim starts. No matter which file I'm opening, I always want to open that files. And yeah, it's basically settings. It's basically keymaps. I will show my config later, so you will see what I'm talking about. Then we have ftDetect, and any files in ftDetect will also be run every time you start Vim. ftDetect stands for file type detection. The files in this directory should set up auto commands that detects and set the file type of files and nothing else. This means they should never be more than 1 or 2 lines long. Yeah, this directory works in conjunction, or you can combine with ft plugin, which are similar. Files in ft plugin are different. The naming of these files matters. When Vim sets a buffer file type to a value, it then looks for a file in ft plugin that matches. For example, if we run set file type is equal to derp, Vim will look for ft plugin /derp.vim. If that file exists, it will run it. So I used this a couple of times. I made the video, I don't know if you remember, on Java, I don't know if you watch it, where I used this folder. Why? Because I only wanted to load that configuration every time that a Java file was loaded, not when, for example, a txt was loaded, a Python file was loaded, a JavaScript was loaded. No, I wanted that configuration every time that a Java file was loaded. That's why I made all of that. I will show you later again. That's why I made all of that in that specific file. Then we have Indent. Files in Indent are a lot like ft plugins files. They get loaded based on their names. Indent files should set options related to indentation for the file types, and those options should be buffer local. I never used this folder, but yeah, it's here. You can see what it does, and again, the link for this blog post will be in the description of this video. You can have a look on there. Files in compiler directory works exactly like Indent files. They should set compiler related options in the current buffer based on their names. Again, I don't use this that often, but it's here. The directory after. The after directory is a bit of hack. Files in this directory will be loaded every time Vim starts, but after the files in plugin. These are really good. Like, I remember once when I had some specific things that made in JavaScript or in Java, for example, I had specific settings that was to code related files, and I didn't want them, for example, in LaTeX or in Markdown. So I just created a file in this folder, and I just checked it if I was in the Markdown or in the LaTeX, and then I just rewind the what I've done in the other files basically. The autoload directly is an incredible important hack. It sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. In a nutshell, autoload is a way to delay the loading of your plugin's code until it's actually needed. Well, this is also good. I don't use that much often also. Why I don't use that much? Because my config it's based on Lua, and Lua from itself already, and with a Packer plugin that I will show also already performs some checking if I really need that plugin or not, and if I need it, it loads the settings, and if I don't need it, it just don't load it. But this directory it's extremely important. You can look for more information about it on the internet. Now that you know, I can also make a video later to show you how this directory works. But if you use Lua is quite advanced and it's quite clever already. And we also have doc. It's to create a documentation for your plugin. I never use it, but if you create a plugin, you can use this directory. I think that there is also a couple of directories more that you can explore, but the most important are FT plugin and plugin, and if you want to build a color scheme, the colors. These are the most important, and these are the directories that I use right now. So now I want to show you my current config. So it all starts with init.lua. As you can see the difference right now, my init.lua. In here, I'm using Lua, but it happens the same as init.vim. And if you see my first one, you see 87. Of course that I have a lot of comments. This is also ugly. You should avoid that. And this is because of clean code. It's not making nothing here. You can just delete it, but you can see like it must be around 70 lines of code, and I have 20 here. Okay, it's a bit different. Even this config I only have here because I don't have other option. I really need to have here in order for all of my config and key maps to work, because what happens is I have a setting with key maps, but at the same time I have plugins that also already make some key maps from themselves. So I need to, in a way, I need to be sure that this setting is loaded before the plugins and my key maps are loaded. And init.lua is the first ever file that it will be loaded when you start Vim. So it's my first config that I made when I start Vim basically. Then here, what I do here is just creating, requiring some modules from my Lua files. Basically, this is related to Lua, but if you wanted to do something in Vim, you could just put it on plugin, and in plugin it will be loaded like this. But in here, as I told you, I want to have a different folder structure, and in the same way I want to have the plugin check where it check if the plugin is really needed or not. Then we have the plugin and the FT plugin, as I told. The FT plugin, I have all of this. So as I showed you in the Java video, and again I have a lot of comments that I should delete it. This is not a good pattern for clean code, so they should be removed. So I have all of this. This is Lua related because this plugin only works on Neovim. By the way, I prefer Neovim just because I have 3-seater support, I have LSP out of the box support, and I know that you also have LSP support in Vim. I was using Conquer of Completion, I think that is that name, but I found out that Node was too heavy and was requiring almost 80% of my CPU sometimes. So I just get rid of it and I'm using LSP now. And since I changed it to a Lua config, even my start time is way faster. Lua is way faster than Vim. So if I need to use a plugin, I'll just look if the plugin exists in Lua or a similar plugin exists in Lua. If it doesn't exist, I will try to avoid it and I will only use a Vim plugin with rare occasions where I really need a complex logic in my code and the plugin is already built. That's the only way. If not, I will try to build myself in Lua. So yeah, this I already explained it in my Java LSP config video. You can have a look of that. I will not take some time on this. Then I have a couple of more. I have Lua, I have Markdown, I have LaTeX. These ones was basically what I told before. They have some logic to cancel code related logic basically. Then we have plugin. As I told, we have key maps, which are all of my key maps. Again, in Lua, you also can do it in Vim, but since I'm doing everything in Lua, why not using Lua? And to be honest, I find this line of code way better and way more readable than Vimscript. I don't know why, I found it way easier to read, basically. And then I have my settings again in Lua, and again I found it way easier to read. Way easier to read. It's more readable, but it's in Lua. Again, you can also do it in Neovim, and this one has a particular interesting thing, which is this option here. Basically, you can load if it's only for a buffer, if it's for everything. You have a couple of options where you can load each setting, and I will not go into detail right now because I have maybe some plans of doing a video of creating a Lua config. So I don't want you to be overwhelmed with a lot of concepts that you don't need right now. But basically this is in Lua config. You can also do it in Vim. It will work exactly like this. Then I have my colors, all of my color schemes. Right now I have no one selected because I have in my plugin, and I will show you later. I have, when I install one or when I load when I load Vim, my package manager will check if that specific color scheme it's already installed or not. If not, it will install and it will activate it. That is because I want to have a default color scheme rather than the default ones that the Vim has. And I want, basically the default one is this one that you are looking now. And I have some functions which are sizes inside of the plugin are always being loaded every time that you run Vim. This function it's quite good. I saw in Lua config somewhere. I don't remember which plugin I saw this, but I think that was one official plugin from Neovim. But basically, every time that I yank, you can see it. It shows the highlight of the yanked text and yanked line, basically. This is from my package manager. You don't need to look about it. This one I decided to put it here, but it's not on this structure that I saw it before. It's not here, but basically this is like all of my undo history is where I have all of my undo where I can go back. It will load a file like this. I will not go into detail, but this is created by a setting that I have. I don't know if I can find it fast. Yes, it's here. It's the undo directory. It's like a version history of your file, and it will go back. If I press U, it will go back on each file, and yeah, I'm not going to detail that there. Then if you have a package manager or stuff like that, you can place it here, or you can place it in init.lua. I usually place it in init.lua, everything that is package manager, just because I want to load that package manager in. The first thing that I want to load is that package manager, so that I don't have errors when some setting that I have for a specific for a specific plugin doesn't pop up, because if I'm trying to enable a setting that for a plugin that doesn't exist yet, it will pop up an error. And to be honest, I do really hate errors, man. So yeah, you can place it in init.lua, or you can create a plugin file. It's up to you. And then you can place it here, all of the settings for each plugin. But in Lua, you have this concept of modules. That's why I have most of the stuff here. And that's why I have this required, because I can have my custom folder structure, and where I find it way better, and I will show why. So the first one that will load is my packer software, and packer software is the same than plug, but this it has first of all, it has this, which every time that I do a fresh installation of my Vim, my Neovim in this case, will install the packer, and then I have all of the settings that the plugins that I have. And one thing that I love on this one, first of all, is in Lua, and then you can perform some commands, and you can require another plugins, and it will check if that plugin exists. If it exists, will load. If not, it will install. And here comes the fun part, like it will lazy load some plugins, and you can also perform a setup. Basically, you can also perform a setup out of the box. You can also do it in a specific file, but I found useful, for example, for here, as I told you before, I want a specific color scheme to load as default instead of the default color schemes that Vim already has, and I've done it here. So it will install, and after it installs, it will perform this config, and it will basically activate my color scheme. And this rose pine will be my default color scheme. Every time that I load, or every time that I install the Neovim as a fresh installation, I will have this color scheme that you are watching now as default instead of the default ones. And yeah, then I have telescope. I have a bunch of other plugins that I will not go into detail now. Some of them are commented. Again, this is going against the clean code architecture, but they are comment because I'm testing them and I will delete them. Most of them I will delete. This was the oldest one that I was using. I found this way better, and I will not go into detail now about my plugins because I'm planning of creating a video about it. But if you want a comment plugin, this one, just use this one. It's man, just use it. And yeah, I think that there's nothing more here. No, okay. Then I have the modules, and what the module do, it's like it will require all of the configs for my plugins, and I found it like this way better than just put it in the plugin, because well, I can create my, as I told, I can create my folder structure, and if I have some complex logic, I think that I don't have in none of the my configs. I think that I don't know. But if I want to perform complex logic, I can create a new file and I can require it in each config, in each file config that I have, basically. And this modules folder is all of my plugins related, but I have the most complex or the most biggest features of Neovim. I have it in a separate folder, in a separate directory. This is for the tree-sitter, which is one of the biggest features of Neovim that Vim doesn't have, which is a syntax parser, which will make it better to perform some actions regarding your syntax. It can know where you are inside the function, and it can perform a different highlight, different indentation. Basically, it can perform a lot of things based on the surrounding syntax. It's really good. I will not go into detail again on tree-sitter because it's quite complex. I can do a video later, but it's quite complex. Then I have the LSP, which have all of my settings. And again, as I told, that's why I wanted to make that thing in init.vim the map key, because the leader key, because again, this is a plugin and I need to follow this structure. I could do in another way, but I found it useful to go here instead of go to my key maps and look to the keys that I need here. And yeah, basically this is everything. This is it. Format on save. This is to show diagnostics when I'm with my cursor over the error, the warning, and this is called lens. I will not go into detail on LSP. I also have planned on creating a separate video for that. But yeah, and then inside of this directory I have providers. And what are providers? Providers basically are the language server protocols that I'm using. Each one requires a config, and I have it here. As you can see, it has a lot of settings that I set up for my config. Rust also, in this case, it's only requiring, that doesn't have nothing specifically. I have these files here, but if you see they are not being loaded, I'm loading by here. The reason for that, it's because I want to still have these files here, because I found it that if I need to change default config, I already have here, and I know which language server protocols I have installed, and I don't need to look if I already have installed or not to install it again. If I have the file type here, it's because I already have it installed. And then it's the LSP comp. It's a plugin to provide me auto completion. I will not go into a lot of detail for now. I plan of doing an LSP video later, but in here I have everything that is specific to my auto completion stuff. For example, here I have auto completion. Everything that is here is provided by this file. By the way, you saw now that I didn't delete the file. I just undo the what I previously done. This is done with that directory that I showed you before. Everything, the code control is there, and it knows the checkpoint that it should go. And yeah, basically this is my folder structure. Again, this is in Lua. You can also do a similar thing, but instead of having a Lua directory, you can use the plugin and the FT plugin and the after and all of that directories. I just found useful to use Lua because I can do it my custom directory structure, and everything that I have in this folder is just plugin related. It's just LSP, 3-seater, another plugins that I installed that are inside of modules. So I can quickly understand which plugins I have installed by these directories, or which LSPs I have installed by these files. Yeah, it was just to perform my custom folder structure. And yeah, this is what I have for you today. I hope that it's understandable, that you learned something new today. And as always, if you have some doubts, just drop a comment. I've been really busy lately, but I do my best to answer as fast as I can. And I also will provide my social media networks like Instagram and stuff like that. I should already done that, but again, as I told, I've been really extremely busy. But I will try to provide that also, so that you can reach me faster. And yeah, I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. If you like, just like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I'm doing a lot of Neovim content, and I plan of doing some other code related content. I've been working on clean code architecture, try to learn a bit of clean code. I might do a video of what I've been learning so far. I'm learning Rust also, and I plan of learning unit testing. That I want to also do a video about that. And I have some other videos in mind. I want to have dependency injection and version of control video explaining what it is, and all of that kind of stuff. I want to make a video. But yeah, for now that's what I have for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next video.